So I first touched ChatGPT somewhere around December 9th. It was I got a Slack from a product, and he's like, you got to check this out. And he showed me a input and output. I couldn't believe it. I went on and set up an account, and the first time I got a response, I was blown away. So I set up a second account with another email address, and I just used this nonstop all through December. That's all I did. I just banged on it. I said, what is this technology? It's ridiculous. I mean, clearly I discovered pretty quickly it's not best as a search engine, but the ability for it to help me think through things, to formulate, rational patterns of thought was stunning to me. And I figured it was going to be improving because it had been improving pretty quickly. So I was like, this is a big deal. What really got me is when GPT-4 came out, and I could see personally, because I'd been using it, I'm like, oh my God, the improvement in the quality of this is amazing. And I started using it in my own job all the time. I thought it was really important for leaders to understand this technology. I had immersed myself in it. We had moved very quickly at Coursera to understand the technology, start trying to imagine the implications it could have for our business model. Because we're an ed tech company and we mostly deal with written words, video, audio, it's like, this is probably going to have a big impact on our company. Either it's going to be a really big opportunity or it's going to be a really big threat, or both. And if we don't play this the right way, it could be a real problem. So we thought we have no choice but to really lean in. I love playing with this stuff. I love learning by doing. I think another big thing about this is it's one thing to talk about generative AI, but the way to really learn it is you sort of understand the concepts, but then you apply them in practice. And I just thought, if you can't apply it in practice, you're not really going to learn it. Sometimes the best way to learn something is by teaching something. And not only is it getting your thoughts together, but I also wanted to use the authoring tools at Coursera, because I figured, oh my gosh, this is going to change the way people build courses. It's going to change the pedagogy. The way that you can teach will change. I thought the only way I'm really going to know this is by doing it. And so I thought, I'm going to build a course. And when I built the course, there's videos and readings, but a lot of it too is I said, all right, we need a playground where people can actually write prompts to a large language model. Well, that didn't exist before my course. I went to the engineering team. I said, hey guys, I need to have a way for people to practice generative AI prompting in the course. They're like, well, we don't have that. I said, well, let's come up with something. And they did. That was awesome. I did a live demo with a large language model asking how AI would change a certain job role. And it was really fun because I went out to the audience. I said, name a job, any job. It was like a magician show. And so I was like, name a job role, any job role. And they did. And we went through a set of prompts with the AI. I'm like, what is a job? I said, well, a job is a position where you fundamentally have a responsibility for producing certain results. You create certain deliverables. You create things to produce those results. You perform tasks and activities and actions to produce the deliverables, to produce the results. You make decisions in performing those tasks to produce the deliverables, to produce the results. You have dependencies on other people. There are people you're dependent on, and other people are dependent on you to produce those, to perform the tasks and make the decisions and produce the deliverables to produce the results. You need certain support from your manager in doing this. So I kind of said, all right, here's how you might describe a job role. But it is, again, sort of a systems-based approach to describing the job role. And because I was able to describe it that way, I then asked the large language model, like, all right, if this is a job role, let's specify it does this, here are the responsibilities, here are the decisions. Oh, I also said, what tools do you use in performing those tasks? Once you tell the LLM, the large language model, like, this is what a job role is, and here's a particular job role, you can then ask it, how are the results going to change? How might the decisions change? How might the activities change? So you have a framework, a set of principles that you could use this against. So once I did this with the live event, I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm going to build a lab in my Thought Partner course so that every single person who takes my Thought Partner course can go through this experience on their own for their own personal job. I thought millions of people could get personalized advice about how generative AI might change their job and what skills they might need to learn, all personalized because of AI. And every time the AI gets better, the advice someone's going to get is going to be better. So I think this is going to be, it's going to be really, really cool. I mean, already I think it's quite cool, and people seem to love this little exercise. I often expect people, not fairly, I expect people to like, oh, you should know this, or you should have a good decision here, or you should be able to come up with an idea. A lot of what I am appreciating a lot more now because of large language models is that large language models need context. Like if they don't know what you're talking about, they can't really help you. But humans aren't much different. Like, how can you expect a human to have a really good idea or help you make a decision if they don't understand the context? And a lot of what I've realized by working with large language models is in creating more context to get good answers from large language models, I realized I need to give more context to other people I work with so that they can give better answers and understand what's going on. So, and even for myself, just thinking like, what context should I even be thinking about? It's like a mental exercise that gets you a lot sharper in your thinking. Just the act of thinking about the context that's needed. So I would say that there'll be some ways that AI impacts a job that is specific to your job function. So how would you figure that out? Ask yourself, what results are you responsible for? What deliverables do you produce? What tasks and activities? What tools do you use? What decisions do you make? And who do you work with? Like if you figure that stuff out, anyone who has a similar results, deliverables, activities, tools, decisions, and dependencies, you're probably going to be impacted the same way. Probably. The biggest thing, of course, is people. Like individual contributors don't have to try to teach somebody else how to do something or facilitate or support someone who's changing. Managers do. So I'd say the big difference between, individual contributors, managers, and leaders is that individuals, for the most part, need to be thinking about how their job role is going to change, which has a lot to do with the tools and tasks. Like, how will the tools and tasks be changing so I can do my job differently? That's the biggest thing that they'll be focused on. The next level up, which is a manager, they need to be thinking about that. How will the job roles change for the people that report to me? Because clearly I need to make sure this group is functionally effective. But in addition, I need to help them change, to see where the change needs to be, to support them in changing, to support them learning new things, deal with the anxieties that come along with change. So there's a whole people management, which is often a change management set of skills that a manager needs to know that an individual, not as much. Then you go to a CEO or a higher level and you're like, hey, it's not just at the role level. It's not just at the function level and managing the people there. It's at the business model level. And that's what's in my course on CEOs. It's like, how is my value proposition going to change? How are my suppliers maybe going to compete with me? When people talk about managing their own careers, I'm like, yeah, use GPT as a thought partner. So say, here's my job role, here's what's going on, give it the context. And I wouldn't just type it in once. I'd put it into a Google Doc so that you could just paste it in every time, because you're going to be wanting to ask it often and you don't want to keep on typing in, no, here's my job role, here's my job role. Like, just copy and paste it and put it in there. But then there'll be a situation where maybe you start with, here's my job role and I want to learn these skills. What might be on the job experiences I can ask to do to develop these skills? It'll say, here's 5 different. I'm just very, very good at this kind of stuff. Another thing that you could do is you could say, here's my job role. How do I learn this skill? Another thing you could do is, here's my job role, and here's a project that needs to be led. Is this a project that I should try to take on? And then you could ask it, if I took this project on, what new skills would I learn? If I took this project on, what skills would I need in order to be successful? If I took this project on even more broadly, what are the key success factors I would have to have in place in order to be successful? So before I take it on, I have some idea of what I'm going to have to do and what I'm going to need from others in order to be successful in that new initiative. But it is almost always about stretching yourself and growing to take on some initiative to broaden your skill sets. But GPT can help you spot them and can help you be more successful, because it'll help you figure out what you need to know and where the downsides might be.